Each one of these artists are using a sneaky technique inside their music on a regular basis for thousands of dollars in sync placement fees. Can you guess what they are? Like you and I, each one of these artists are much less known than Beyonce is. So it's not star power. And they all make different types of music, so it's not a special genre. But they're all making 4 to 6 figures off of a handful of songs. And they're syncing them over and over and over again. And if you follow this channel, which you totally should if you don't, you're probably thinking to yourself, how in the world did they make so much money through sync licensing using the same sync agents that everybody else is using, and how can I do the same? Well, I personally had the same question, so I analyzed hundreds of different songs that were placed and found 4 sneaky tactics that were inside their lyrics that didn't just transform the song, but actually ended up giving them the X factor in obtaining more placements. And using these 4 things could be a complete game changer for your music as well, potentially turning that song you were singing in the shower earlier today into a money printing machine that gives you even more ideas later on. Let's start with the first one. And it blows my mind that more people don't do this because it makes absolutely perfect sense. Now, as you may have already experienced, it's a bit of a struggle if you don't know what you're doing in order to get your music into a television show.
Why is this so hard?
And to pile on top of that pressure already, how the heck are you going to make a song that actually resonates with your personal audience you've already built without sounding corny? And that's where this first sneaky technique comes into play. And again, it's hiding honestly in plain sight. Let's see if you can figure out exactly what this song is just based off of the titles that were recently placed. Can you notice the common denominator? These topics, no matter where you're from or how old you are, anyone can relate to them. So things like hope, heartbreak, love, a swaggering confidence, the big feelings of just the human experience. These are the ones that you aim for. So as you can see here, this song about feeling good has been used multiple times because no matter where you're from, it's relatable to everybody. Who doesn't love feeling good? The reason this works is because it's using what I like to call a universal theme. But that's not actually the secret technique. Everyone knows a universal theme can work. Here's the real reason why this is making bank. Is because it's taking a universal theme and then flipping it on its head for a fresh new sound by making it very unique. Because there's a ton of songs out there in the world about feeling good, but putting your personal unique spin on that based off of experiences that you've already had, like feeling good because your frenemy got a flat tire on the way home. That makes it more interesting immediately, and it compels the audience to learn more about the story in the song. The way you present these kinds of universal themes turns it into a way more exciting song. But an exciting theme or idea isn't enough to make 4, 5, or even 6 figures to make it a sync banger. So to ensure that your next song with the most potential doesn't turn into a flop, you'll need to combine this technique with the next one that I discovered while doing lyrical research that once again was right in front of us the whole time. So most successful sync earners I've personally seen have figured something out that enables them to get really high sync fees more often than most other artists could. And what's actually kind of funny is you're going to start hearing this all over the place because it's literally in every successful song that gets placed on TV shows, movies, commercials, what have you. But what is it? And is it actually something that any songwriter can do? Let's see if you can guess this time with what they're doing inside the choruses of these songs. I'm going to show you, but not play them because I don't have the guap for sync placements with these amazing songs yet. Can you see it? Okay, I'll give you a hint. Okay, check this out. When I tell you to picture an ice cream sundae in your head, most people would see this, right? Now, although both of these sundaes look incredibly sugary, why does the one on the right just looks more complete? Every one of these lyrics that uses this technique that we're talking about is the cherry on top on an ice cream sundae. It's the first thing you remember. It's small, it's shiny, and it's really sweet. That cherry is the memorable hook that captures the listener, locks the song into their memory, and gives its song its true identity. The hook is the most skipped to spot that I've seen sync reps and music supervisors get to. Now I hear you, duh, of course the hook is what's the most important part. But the real question you should probably be asking is, how do I create a hook that infectious? Because to be honest with you, although it seems super simple to do, it's known by most writers as the most challenging. So don't beat yourself up when you try this on your own, because it's all about simplicity.
This is where the fun begins.
Remember that one game Simon Says you might have played when you were a kid? The game was simple, repetitive, and addictive.
Again.
That's your hook. You don't need to write a Shakespearean drama with detailed instructions in order to play the game. She loves you, yeah, 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 is all you need. 3 words, repeated, voila, you're done. Wrong. Because the hook needs to also stand the test of time of being relatable to 3-year-olds and 80-year-olds. So here's the twist for relatable hooks with sync. Your hook should feel like that one inside joke that you have with all your friends. It should be unique, personal, and something that brings a smile to your ears every time you hear it. So next time you're jotting down lyrics, keep the cherry on top of an ice cream sundae, that Simon Says game of repetition, and that inside joke that just fills you with joy. Blend them together and you have your memorable hook that could easily be even a TV theme show song, which ran in syndication could be big bucks for you. But the third sneaky thing that I see in lyrics is probably one of the most powerful methods and needs to be infused into those hooks and universal themes in order for it to work, especially when used in your verses, because if they aren't used, the song may not grow legs and get synced all over the place without it.
The money is real and it's everywhere.
And we can explain this with a chicken. Okay, so would you eat this? Probably if you're hungry enough, but would you actually enjoy it? I mean, it could use a little spice, a little shake there, right? I mean, sure, you got the main ingredients like with a song, you got your melody, your rhythm, your harmony, but that spice, that's what gives it that kick and flavor that everybody's like, yo, this is a bop. So what can we add to our lyrics to give it that extra flavor? Or the real question that we should be asking ourselves is, why do these songs made by these unknown artists become an instant hit with movies and television in the first place? Let's break it down. Remember your first heartbreak? The whole world seems gray, food has lost its taste, and every sad song just feels like it's written for you. That's the emotion. Now, how do you season it with your lyrics? Maybe a line like tears blending with the rain, or echoes of our song in a soft, empty room. See what we did there? The secret sauce that you need to put on your lyrics is vivid imagery. This is what's going to give your universal theme your sonic fingerprint on top of it. That's going to be different than everybody else's song, which is going to help you stand out. So next time you're pinning down that universal theme, don't just tell us, show us. Make us feel the warmth of the sun, or the chill of a winter breeze, or the sting of a fresh wound. But although creating a culinary masterpiece of a lyric with your words is absolutely great, but if you don't check this last tip, let me tell you, it could totally ruin the dish, and there's nothing that feels worse than losing a sync placement. That could totally change the trajectory of your career. And low-key, this fourth and final tip is the last sneaky way that sync artists stand out from other big mainstream artists pitching for the same placements. Again, without a huge catalog. And now that I think about it, if it's not executed correctly, it could ruin all the other tips we just talked about. Now imagine you just finished throwing all the sauce on that chicken we just talked about with your vivid imagery, and you're taking your plate over to the table, right? You can just smell it. You're ready to eat what you just cooked up. And all of a sudden, you trip over your shoelace and all the food just falls onto the floor. Would you shovel it back onto your plate while nobody's looking and walk over to the table like nothing happened? Probably not. And it would low-key look mad inappropriate if you did. And this last tip personifies this concept. Yes, your lyrics need to be catchy, they need to carry emotion, but there's even another layer of universal relatability that we haven't even talked about yet. That's crucial. And we can find out exactly what this is through nursery rhymes. What do all these nursery rhymes have in common? They've all been sync licensed before, and I'll give you a couple seconds to figure it out. Did you figure it out? They can be sung by my 2-year-old niece and your 85-year-old grandpa. Why? The lyrics are clean. Like, you ever had a really dope song that you might have made and it's really catchy, and let's say you have a supportive family that wants to hear your song that might have gotten played on the radio, but you couldn't because it was like too raunchy? Yeah, that one. Now imagine if it had the same groove, the same vibe, same everything. That's the power of clean lyrics. And brands pay thousands for these kinds of songs. But that's not the secret. Here's the gold nugget you need to remember. Clean doesn't mean corny. It means creative. Instead of taking the low-hanging fruit where you use explicit lyrics to just gain a shock factor,
way out of pocket. What do you gain from that?
You're grabbing the upper shelf that most people don't reach for. That's more expensive because it's more witty, it's more creative, and honestly, it's more unique and helps tell a metaphoric story. Because honestly, if you're using explicit lyrics, you're pinholing the amount of opportunities that your music can be used in. Granted, yes, some songs still get used that have a little bit more explicit wording and descriptions of things, but they're far less available than the majority of other things that can get placed with. Think about it, there ain't nobody cussing in a Tylenol commercial. So if you want your song to become the go-to for every family gathering, road trip, wedding, or just a wholesome dance-off, you need to make sure that those lyrics are clean. Some people have made their whole careers off of something like that, but lyrics are obviously just half the battle of a good song that can be used for sync licensing. And if you don't make sure that the actual arrangement of those lyrics are built for broadcast standards, music editors are going to listen to it and just skip over it because it's going to be too hard to work with versus an easier track that they might have in their library. So to learn how to make music that's specifically built for sync, check this video out here.